Hi, everyone. This is Zach Brooks with World Transplant Athletes. Tips and tricks by and for transplant athletes anywhere, anytime, and online. If you have a body with a new part and you can move, you are a World Transplant Athlete. As a two-time kidney transplant recipient and frequent participant at local, national, and world transplant games, I always wonder, how do other recipients take care of their health and prepare for competitions? For me, there's only one way to find out, and that's to learn from the most inspiring transplant athletes in the world. Today, I have Larissa Giuliano from the United States. Larissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope I can share some good tips for you all.
Thank you so much. So, you sent me your tips a little while ago, but before we get to those, I want to have some warm up questions so people get to know you a little bit in this interview format. So, question number one for you is, which transplant did you have?
So I have cystic fibrosis, and my lungs got to the point where I needed a transplant. So I had a double lung transplant in 2015.
Okay, lung transplant. Excellent. Question number two. If you were to summarize your transplant journey in one word, what would it be?
So the word I chose was transformative. It was hard to just choose one word, but that's the one I ended up coming up with. So prior to my transplant, my lungs had progressively gotten worse until after college. It was hard to really do anything. Like I couldn't really exercise. I could like walk a little bit. I was on oxygen, and like I had to crawl up the stairs to my bedroom. So, it wasn't really much of a life like that I could live. And then after my transplant, my lungs were no longer diseased and I could breathe and exercise. And I felt like I could pretty much do anything I wanted.
Wow. So
Um,
transformative is absolutely the word then, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Not that it wasn't difficult. It was a journey to get to there, but yeah, definitely very transformative.
Excellent. So question number three for you is, what was your first exercise post-transplant?
So the first thing I did was just walk like around the hospital, and they had like a little stair set that I'd walk up and down, and each day like walk,
Yeah.
a little bit further or more sets up the stairs. And then after I got out of the hospital, I was fortunate enough. I had my transplant in San Francisco, and they have this really beautiful large park called Golden Gate Park in the city. And so I would walk into the park, and then each day try to go a little bit further. There was a hill that went up to a lake. And so I would kind of just each day try to go further and further up the hill, and then, further around the lake. So
Nice.
it was a great place to recover.
Yeah, it's nice to have those markers when you're coming back, even just from an injury in life. But in this case, major an organ transplantation, in this case, lung. I mean, it's a major, major deal. So it's nice to have those markers along the way, like getting to the bottom of the hill. And then the middle part of the hill is a huge accomplishment one day to the next. So the final question I have for you: in which activities and sports do you regularly participate?
So I grew up swimming until I had to, like on a swim team, until I had to quit due to a bacteria that was in the water
Hmm.
that was affecting my lungs. And then post transplant, I found out about the games, and I got the okay to swim from my doctors since I don't have CF lungs anymore. And so I swim now, and I also, after I quit swimming, did gymnastics, and so I coach gymnastics. So
Okay,
I do a little bit coaching.
excellent. So you have a lot of things to keep you busy.
Yeah. Oh, and also I love to hike. I do a lot of hiking and backpacking and stuff too.
Excellent. Okay, so let's get to the heart of the show. I asked you to share five tips and tricks on sharing with transplant athletes everywhere. And that might be someone who's waking up today with a new organ somewhere in the world. And so I'll go down the list one through five, and then we'll go back to the top and you can kind of walk us through each of those. So the five tips you have for everyone are: number one, find a sport you love. Number two, stay motivated. Number three, stay active and train hard. Number four, make a plan. As a coach of gymnasts, I definitely want to hear more about that. And number five, work with a coach or expert. So let's go back to the top. The first one you said, Larissa, is find a sport you love. So that seems really obvious, but why for you has it been that so important for you?
Yeah, it might be obvious. I think a lot of people, a lot of us, we struggle with wanting to go do sports or exercise, and um, so I think if it's not something that you love doing, you're going to be a lot less likely to actually do it. And there's so many different sports out there that I think you're bound to find something that you love. So keep trying. If you don't like, I mean, I don't like jogging. I have I had to jog or run a lot in swimming, um, and I just yeah, it's not something I enjoy. So I don't typically jog for exercise. I found that I like to swim, and
Okay.
so I do that. And
So it's through jogging you discovered you don't like it, but you also, extra discovered your love for swimming. So
yeah,
it's like
kind
a
of comparing the two.
comparing the two.
I guess.
Yeah. So it's important to I think it's important to try things in life too, because sometimes like, okay, I really don't like this. I know that, and I really do love this other thing. So it's important to find a sport you love. So the second thing you shared is stay motivated. What do you do? Why is that important to you?
So for me, I'm pretty competitive, and when I found out about the games, that was like a huge motivator to me
Hmm.
to want to go and to meet other people and to race, in swimming. And so, in my mind, I just, when I'm swimming or when I'm thinking like, oh, I should go work out, I'm thinking like that's just going to help me stay healthy and also, be able to do my best at the games. And I can know that, I did my best training. So,
So what
yeah,
motivates
I think,
you? Oh, sorry, continue, Larissa. Sorry about that.
oh, no, no, that's okay. Just like staying healthy. I mean, I know what it's like not to breathe.
Uh-huh.
And I know how important exercise is for, especially your lungs, but for also your whole body to stay healthy. Exercise is so important. And I think one of the reasons I was able to recover from my transplant is because I've been an athlete all my life. So I had like, the, I guess, body, I was in a good enough shape that I was able to recover from, my transplant. And even just getting sick, like if you're, you're in better shape, your body's able to recover more quickly from,
Hmm.
getting like sick and stuff like that. So it's just, it's hard sometimes to think like day in, day out, like, oh yeah, this is going to help me in the long run be healthy.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think just knowing that it is going to. And yeah, like I said, I know what it's like not being able to breathe, so I want to keep my lungs as healthy as I can.
Yeah, I think what you said to me that really stood out there, Larissa, is like, you know what it means not to breathe. Like that's such a massive statement. Now for you, that's just like part of your life. But just if you take that outside of this conversation, people would say, "What do you mean? You know what it means not to breathe?" But if you just take that statement, like, of course, that would be a massive motivator for you. So find different motivators for you, whoever whatever your situation is, and that helps you continue to exercise and train. So the third thing you shared is stay active and train hard. Why has that been so important for you?
It kind of like I was saying, it keeps you healthy, and you know that going into the games or um, any sort of competition that you have done your best, and there's nothing else you could have done. Like I guess just feeling like you don't have a disappointment if you
Mhm.
don't, because you know that you train hard, and you know that you're in your peak shape, and so you can give a good performance.
Okay. Yeah, so I like that. So what you didn't say, but I think you were almost connected the dots, and see if I can connect them and see if this is correct. Like by training to your maximum, then you're going to avoid disappointment, because whatever the outcome of the competition, like you did your absolute all to get there. And
Hmm.
I think that's such a powerful psychological idea, because it's so easy to regret in life. It's so easy to be disappointed, but by kind of working to that limit, then you can really assure yourself that you have some confidence that whatever I did, it's okay. And I think that's so. He didn't quite say that, but it felt like that is a strong motivator. Is that something that you are motivated by? Is not regretting?
Yeah, yeah. I think definitely like knowing that I've done everything I can. And also, I feel like us as transplant recipients, we've been given a second chance at life and we want to make the most of it
Hmm.
and, make our donors proud um, and yeah, and uh, live our life
Okay,
the best we
absolutely.
can,
Yeah. Okay,
which
so
includes exercise.
which includes exercise, absolutely. So the
Yeah.
fourth thing you shared for everyone is make a plan. So maybe you can talk to people about the plans you make when you prepare for competitions, maybe the World Transplant Games or any other competition you prepare for, and the plans you make.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I coach gymnastics, and so I always have a plan. I don't just go to the gym and say, "Okay, kids, like I don't know what we're doing, but we'll make it up as we go."
Okay.
Um, I always, have a plan that I've created so that we don't waste time and we have a productive workout. And so I think that's important for you yourself to be doing in your training as well, so
Mhm.
that yeah, and you can kind of like see what you did, like a month ago, and then you can see progress in it too. um and yeah, I think there's, even for someone that's never done a sport before, the internet is a great resource. There's so many training plans for whatever sport
Mhm.
that you choose, that it's easy, even if you have no idea what you're doing, to go on and find something that'll work for you. And so when I make my swim workouts, I do use the internet and I look at, things that swim coaches have created, and I maybe tweak them a little bit based on what I, want to accomplish. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to have a plan, and then also set aside like time to train, because then you're more likely, I think, to actually do it if you have, a set aside time in your calendar, like, okay, this is when I'm exercising. So you
Mhm.
don't have like, you can't make excuses that you're too busy or whatever.
Yeah, totally. So you don't just show up to the gym with a playlist and say, "All right, let's see how this works today." That's not.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's not as effective. I mean, we do have busy lives, so we want our training to be not just whatever. We want to have like a set goal and stuff. I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. So the fifth thing you shared for everyone is work with a coach or expert. Now, why has that been important for you?
Um, I think especially if you're new to a sport, just for some sports, like there's a lot of technique that goes into the, creating the best like stroke for
Mhm.
swimming that you can, and the most efficient, because you can splash around and not really go anywhere, and that takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But if you, work with a coach, they can teach you the more effective way, so you don't have to work as hard and you can go further. And for me, I grew up swimming, but I kind of, on my own just swim and would get into maybe some bad habits or things that maybe I can improve a little bit upon. And so my cousin, he's actually a swim coach. And so I worked with him before the last transplant games. And he told me like a lot of things I wasn't even really aware that I was doing. I was kind of on autopilot swimming
Sure.
some of the time. And so, yeah, just, little things, but, they made a big difference.
Yeah.
So
What
I
I
think,
find about for working on technique and running or cycling or swimming or anything is that it also pretty quickly increases the enjoyment. Like you just said, if you can do less of a movement and go faster, like there's something so purely enjoyable about that. And just by, just giving, dedicating yourself to technique, your enjoyment usually goes up, and then there's more motivation to go back to the pool or the track or cycling or whatever your sport, volleyball, whatever your sport is, because you've really given yourself some time to enjoy the technique and figure it out for yourself. So anyway,
Exactly. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and I think like, you see improvement, and that's always important as an athlete, especially.
Mhm.
I think of like when I'm coaching my little gymnasts, and if they're not learning new skills, if they're not improving, they're going to get bored and quit. So I think it's really important to also, have some. It's nice to see improvement. It keeps you wanting to, yeah, like you said, keep training and going back.
Excellent. So, Larissa, thank you so much for being on the show today. So, for audience members out there, you can log on to facebook.com/World Transplant Athletes. About a weekly basis, I'm going to try to upload podcasts like this with athletes who want to share their tips and tricks. World Transplant Athletes, tips and tricks by and for transplant athletes anywhere, anytime, and of course, online. If you have a body, with a new body part and you can move, you are a world transplant athlete. Larissa, thank you so much today.